All right, in this video, we are going over the one kettlebell jerk. The jerk is the progression from the push press. So if you don't know the push press, go watch those videos. The difference between the push press and the jerk is the push press is just a dip and drive and catch. The jerk adds another dip in. So it's dip, drive, and while that bell is floating up, dip again to drop underneath it. What this does, similar to the Olympic lifting jerk, is this allows you to move heavier weight and get heavier weight locked out overhead because it doesn't have to travel as far, right? If you think that from here to here, let's say I have to travel all that distance, right? The bell itself has to travel all the distance. Even if I'm push pressing, I need to drive that weight from under my chin to overhead, right? And you can see in the camera where my hand is. On the jerk, I only have to get the bell to there because I can drop underneath it. Now this, which is about almost even with the poster behind me, is much lower than here. So you can move heavier weight without having to move it as far, but you get to generate more power because you still have to be able to move that, right? And that's the idea behind the jerk, is that it is ballistic. It still builds some strength, but it's definitely most used in the strength and conditioning aspect, right? Emphasis on conditioning. Just like the Viking push press, you can get into heavier weights and higher reps, right? Because it's very quick. The jerk isn't that same up tempo per se. Each rep takes a lot more out of you because you still, once you catch underneath, stand up, dip down again, a lot of core work, a lot of lower body leg work is required. So you get a huge conditioning effect with lower reps. So again, 5 reps is usually more than enough if you're using the right weight. You can get into like the 10s and stuff like that. This is the beginning of getting into long cycle, right? Or clean and jerk, where you're doing them together. And then that is a whole nother conditioning element in and of itself, as well as being total body strengthening. But all of that being said, what does the jerk itself look like? The one-handed jerk will look like this. Bringing that bell up with a clean, dip, drive, and dip. Now you notice I'm still getting that hip extension and dropping back underneath it. Now, with the jerk, you can go flat-footed and drive through, locking the legs out and then pulling yourself back down underneath. You can also lift the heels off the ground and then drop underneath, similar to how they do in the Olympic weightlifting. It's up to you. Me personally, I stick with the heels down variation because I find it has more carryover to my snatch, and my swing replicates that same drive, full foot through the floor, create all that power, get all that triple extension, and then again, I'll dip back underneath it without having to lift my feet up. When I used to do a lot more Olympic weightlifting, lifting my feet up off the ground and like dropping out into a there or a split. Those are things that technically you can do with the kettlebell, but it doesn't really serve. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference. You can keep it simple. Just focus on getting that dip, drive, and dip to get underneath the weight. Again, and you can get into the heavier weight. We covered some of the reps. So that gives you a full view of what you do for the one-handed kettlebell jerk.